Look at that guy. Holy mackerel.
We got one!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dad's Expensive Hobby.
What's up?
Today we are taking a look at the SH Figuarts NAPPA. I gotta tell you, this Saiyan behemoth looks really good. I mean, fantastic almost. And he's surprisingly mobile for as big as he is. But he does do a couple of things that I'm not thrilled with, but we'll get to that here a little bit later. First things first, let's get him scaled up and see how tall he is. I just wanted to take a second and thank all of you for 200 subscribers. We truly appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Please enjoy the rest of the video. Okay, Nappa was a big character, so this is a big figure. And to the top of his bald head, he is just north of 6 3/4 inches. And that would make him right at 18 centimeters tall. And let's stand him next to the 1.0 Scouter Vegeta. This is an old figure, but then again, Nappa's an old figure too. He's like 7 years old. And that's not quite right. They always kind of scale the big guys down a little bit in SH Figuarts. The real height comparison, he should really be about right there on Vegeta. Vegeta should really come up to about his waist. But then again, in the anime, the scaling's all over the place. But I think they look really good next to each other. This figure is gorgeous. I'm eventually going to do a review on him.
Why do you lie?
Anyways, let's stand him next to the Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku, because they do fight in the anime, and I think they look really good next to each other. Again, the heights are a little off, but they're never quite 100% in SH Figuarts. And just because he's a big figure and I love handling Broly, let's stand him next to the full power Broly. And of course, it's not even close, but honestly, Nappa should be a little bit closer in height to him. But they all look fantastic next to each other.
You're goddamn right.
Let's move in and let's take a look at his accessories.
Propane and propane accessories.
Now, Nappa was a premium Bandai release, so he actually comes with some pretty good stuff. He comes with 4 really awesome head sculpts. He comes with a sort of sinister smiling face on him in the package. He also comes with an open mouth yelling face with some sweet veins coming out in his forehead. He comes with another open mouth yelling face with his eyes looking off to the right, and there's some sweet veins in that head too. And he comes with a scouter head. That thing looks really cool on him. He also has 7 really well done hands. He comes with 2 fist hands on him in the package. He comes with 2 fighting grip hands. He also has 2 knife hands for energy blasts. And he comes with 1 hand for the proctology fingers. And he comes with a blast effect with a stand for it. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the color, but I'm not going to complain because I cry all the time that we need more blast effects, and we got one. I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. For what I think he was going for around 70 when he was on Premium Bandai, that is well worth it. I mean, we can't complain at all. He's lacking nothing. I mean, we could say, hey, you know, he should come with a flight stand, but that's really not that necessary. That's just being, you know, very nitpicky. What we get accessory-wise for this figure is awesome. On the money, really, there's 0 complaints can be made here. So I think his accessory package is very, very, very good, especially for what it was originally coming out with.
1000%, yeah.
Now, you know, the secondary prices, you know, that's questionable, like secondary market prices, that's
more than you can afford, pal.
Questionable. But what he was originally going for, there's 0 complaints can be made. Let's move in and take a look at his paint and detail.
I must paint you.
Oh, that's...
In the paint and detail department, this figure does not disappoint. He has paint head to toe all over him. Fuck yeah! Let's start with his head. His head sculpts all have shading and awesome little details. Each one has different little details, whether it be veins or the mouth or everything. Just looks really, really good. You can see there's shading on his neck.
Save the neck for me, Clark.
On both sides of it right here. The Saiyan armor is matte and flat all over. No spillage, nothing like that. Everything looks really, really good. Could it use some paint lining? Of course it could, but they don't really give us that anymore, so I'm going to quit complaining about it.
It's not that hard.
His musculature is awesome. Look at the details of the muscles of these arms. Look at those triceps. Holy mackerel. Those are awesome. The tail looks really good. There could be maybe a wash to add a little bit of depth to the tail, but I'm not going to complain there. The tail looks really good. Like I said, all the Saiyan armor is matte and flat and looks good. Look at his legs. It's leg day all day, every day. He is not skipping leg day whatsoever. Wonderful shading. Look at the shading in through there. We're just not really seeing that much anymore. And then, like I said, this is an old figure. This figure's 7 years old. And look at all the paint that's on him. And it's all done really well. Like his hand, the paint that's on his hands. There's a couple of spots, like I'm not sure if the camera can catch that, but there's just one little spillover place right there. And it's just on that one. The other one looks great. His boots all look good like this.
I like your boots.
This wrap around right here, that's painted, and the only reason, actually, while I know that, is because the event exclusive that has a repaint, it's a different color. That's the only reason why I know that. And speaking of color, real quick, this color is actually not the color from the Cell Saga shit, the Saiyan Saga. This is actually, this color right here is from that one episode, one or two episodes, I can't remember, where they were on Aurelia or whatever, where Vegeta had that like orange and green and yellow and blue uniform. These are the colors that Nappa had on his uniform for that episode. All of his, the stuff that all took place on Earth, he was actually yellow. It's the colors of the event exclusive Nappa release. That those are the ones from the actual Cell Saga, Saiyan Saga that we all saw. But this paint looks really good, and I actually like this brown actually better than the yellow, if you want my honest opinion. But there's shading everywhere, no spillover, nice and flat. The only other thing I'll say about his paint and detail is his head is a different type of plastic from like his arms and legs and stuff, so it's kind of almost like a little bit transparent, kind of looks fleshy, but it actually looks kind of cool. But that's really all I've got for his paint and detail. It is top notch from head to toe, so no complaints whatsoever there. Let's move in and let's take a look at his articulation.
I know Kung Fu.
All right, let's check out how Nappa moves. For a big guy, Nappa moves really well. He really does. There are a couple of things that kind of irritate me. We'll get into those in just a second. But let's start at his head. He looks down excellently, and that's because his neck joint moves really well.
Take your goddamn neck. All right?
So he can tuck that chin all the way down into his chest. He can look up actually surprisingly well. You can tilt his head side to side with no problem. And why is that? Because it's a double ball peg.
Surprise, motherfucker.
What do I say? Double ball peg every time for the head and neck, and this is another prime example of why we should do that. His little, armor shoulder blades or whatever you call these, little shoulder flaps, they move up and down. They're just on a little hinge. The time for the part that kind of irritates her, but it irritates me and will probably irritate you. His shoulders don't really move worth crap. That is literally as far out as they go.
We have a problem.
Okay, and that is because they are on like a little butterfly sort of system, and it moves around not very well. And the reason why is his shoulder, there is no cut in it. I don't know if you can even see the top of the shoulder. There's no cut in it, so there's no hinge to be able to move around. It's just on a ball peg that's up in there, and the shoulder, like the deltoid itself, is the cap for that. And it's just not, there's just no room for it to move. So that bugs me. So look here. This is as close as his hands get to each other.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
And that is a big drawback to this figure, is just the shoulders. And even if they did move well on their own, this right here would block it.
You're a piece of shit.
And that's just a design flaw. I don't know what they could do different. Like I said, and like I've said in previous videos, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know what they could do any different. But the shoulders, for the most part, they suck. They suck. But it's got a typical bicep swivel. Double jointed elbow, not too bad for big gigantic biceps like that. I'm going to call that a little bit past 90 to a little bit past 90, so that's passable. And the elbow actually looks pretty good. The wrists are fantastic. They are on a double ball peg right there, surprisingly, and they move around fantastic. You can get all kinds of range of motion out of these wrists. So I really like the elbows and wrists. I just don't like the shoulders. He crunches decently, surprisingly, for like being kind of an, his waist is kind of oval shaped, but he still crunches pretty well. Leans back halfway decent, and you can get a little bit of tilt. Not a big bunch to talk about, but he can do it. And you could twist him around.
That's a twist. That's very twisty.
if you want to. I don't really know why you would want to, but you can, because this little tail is kind of floaty. These little, part of his little skirt, the 3 pieces right here, they flop out like that. They're on little hinges, and they're not very delicate. I was worried that they would be, but they're not. And we can look up his skirt right here. His little hips, they are on kind of a drop down, and they come out a lot better than I thought they would. Heck, these come out better than the 2.0 Vegetas do, surprisingly. And they don't kick up super high to the front, but you can get a front and back kick like that. So he does do this split really well. Doesn't do the full split out to the side, but if you drop him down, you can get quite a bit of range out of him, so you can get good kicks and stuff. But no Jean-Claude Van Damme splits, not completely anyway, but that's okay. And he doesn't have a big old dangly bit right there, so I like that. Double jointed knee, really good. He's got big old legs, and he's got really good knee range, way past 90. And I like the knee joint as well. And here's something that kind of makes me happy. The ankle is a ball hinge. Doesn't go up all that much because of the sculpt, but if that sculpt wasn't in the way, you could get really good range out of it. And it points down pretty good, but here is the star of the ankles, is the pitch, the ankle rocker. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
And here is something else that really just shocked me, like pleasantly. The toe hinge isn't bad. That is flush.
Oh, hallelujah.
That is flush up against it. So this is like my favorite toe hinge of all the SH Figuarts figures. This is really, really good. And he has a kind of a uniquely shaped boot, and I think that's kind of aiding, at least the sculpt of it is aiding in its functionality. But look at that. That looks really good, and it's nice and tight. That could actually like hold the weight of him, and it doesn't look crappy. So well done, Bandai, when it comes to that part. Overall, other than his shoulders are terrible. There's just no denying that, no getting around it. Shoulders are terrible, but double ball peg in the neck for the head, ball peg in the neck that moves really well. Bicep swivel works well enough. Double jointed elbow works well enough. Fantastic. Double ball peg in the wrists. Ab crunch is good. Drop down hips, plenty of range of motion. Excellent double jointed knees, and the ankles and toe hinge are all good. So I mean, his articulation is a thumbs up for me. Woo! All the other stuff added together washes out the bad shoulders, and it's not like he doesn't do Kamehameha blast or anything like that, so it's not like his hands need to really touch out in front of him in the first place. But I get it that the bad shoulders are going to put some people off, and I totally understand that. But that's all I've got for his articulation. Let's move in and talk about my final thoughts.
Now listen to me very carefully.
Nappa here is a premium Bandai that lives up to the name. He is premium. This is a really, really good figure. His paint and detail are second to none. His accessories are great. And other than his crappy shoulders, which they are crappy, his articulation is really good, particularly for a big, blocky, chunky figure like him. It's really, really good. His original price point would have had me grading him even higher. I think it was around $70, but now his secondary market value and prices, or whatever you want to call it, are north of $100. God damn! And sometimes $120, and I've seen listings $150, things like that. That's going to really inhibit a lot of people from buying this figure just because he's expensive.
I'm broke, nigga! I'm broke!
But even where he's at now, with the bad shoulders and the high secondary price, I'm still going to call this an A figure. This is a very, very good figure. If you can afford him, I highly recommend that you buy one. But if you can't, I get it. Believe me, times are tough, and but he is expensive, but he is definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. I recommend buying him. So like I said, he is an A figure for sure. And that's really all the recommendations I've got for him. Buy him. I recommend you check out my other videos. I recommend you keep an eye out for my Real Deal Goku Black review. That'll be out in the next handful of days. Check that out. This is a really good figure, and it'll be a good review. And check out some of my other videos. I'm going to have some that'll pop up on the screen here in a minute. Check those out. You won't regret it. That's all I've got for Nappa. This has been Dad with Dad's Expensive Hobby, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.